Hi guys, in this video we will see what are classes and objects in Kotlin. So till now we didn't enter the object oriented programming in Kotlin, but with this video we will enter the concept of object oriented programming in Kotlin. So the basic concept of object oriented programming, or OOPS concept, is the class and object. We will learn what is class and object in this video. So let's see what are Kotlin classes. So as a definition, if you have done Java, you may know classes. Kotlin classes are also similar to the Java classes. So basically, as a definition, what are classes? A class is a blueprint for the object which have common properties. So by this definition, we can understand that a class is a blueprint. Okay. So how are class declared? We use a class keyword to declare a class. So basically, to understand it with an example, assume that you are a businessman and you want to build a colony of some houses. You will hire an architect, right? The architect will build some houses or build some homes or anything. Okay, build some buildings. So every building will be same or the same type, or every house in the building will be same. So the architect will design us building, right? Then he will make as many as building as he wants. So basically what we need to start building a building is a blueprint, a plan, a blueprint. So that in Kotlin is called a class. So basically a blueprint is called a class which have some properties. So a building may have floors, rooms, etc., many things, elevators or stairs, something. So these are the objects, or these are the parameters, or what we call variables. Any variables we can say. And there will be some properties. The color is a property, or the height is a property. So some things like this, or the area is a property, whatever it may be. So there are some properties in the class. So basically a class is a blueprint which has some properties. Now what we do is we create a class. Now basically in Kotlin, programming language, how do we create a class? As you can see here, we write a class name. There is a class name. First we write the keyword class, then the class name. It can be any name, a building or whatever. Then there is property and functions. There are some properties and there are some function in the classes. So function is some doing something, or a function, as you know, as we read the functions, or we know about functions. So there are some functions, and the properties are the variables of the classes. Now, as you can see here, we define the classes this way. Now, example of a class. So this is an example, actual example, in which we will create a class. So here the name of the keyword, the keyword we use is class. Then the name of the class is employee. Okay, I wrote here small e, but it should be capital. So every time the class name should start with capital. So don't write small e here, capital E. It was a mistake. Then there are some variables, as you can see: name, age, gender, and salary. Okay, so these are some variables. Now there are some functions. If you want to set or show the name, so you use the function name, or these are just some blank functions. Okay, so the properties are the name, age, gender, salary. These all are properties, and the name, age, salary, or whatever the functions it may be. So there may be many functions, or work function, anything. So these are some functions of the classes. So this is an example of creating a class in Kotlin. Now there are objects. Now as you understood, class is a blueprint, right? Now there is a blueprint. Now you have to create the buildings, or you have to create the houses, whatever you want. So what we should do? We should create the objects. Now that blueprint, by using the blueprint, the houses which you are creating is called an object in the Kotlin, as you can see, understand. So in Kotlin, using the class, you can create some objects, and that objects have real entities or behaviors or variables, you can access the class member functions and the properties with the object. So actually, as you saw here, the name string is not defined like this. Actually, when we will define the actual class, then we will see that only the blueprint will be there. There will be no properties assigned to it, or no name or anything assigned to it. It will just have the properties and have the functions. The object will assign it the properties to it by using the class. Now let's see how we use the object. So we can create an object. Basically, first we can create an object using the class name. So as you can see, var obj object equals to class name. So class name as employee. So in the place of class name, you will write employee and give a bracket, give a curly bracket, round bracket, and this will be a object creation or creating an object. Then you can access the properties or functions using dot. So obj dot anything. So as you can as in the employee class, you can have obj dot name or obj dot salary, or and the functions you will use like obj dot create name or create whatever you want to do, whatever the function is and whatever you want to do. So this is all about objects and classes. Let's go into IntelliJ IDE and see about it. Now into the IntelliJ IDE. So we have a file. Now how to just create a class in Kotlin. So we can here also create a class using class keyword, but we will not create it like that. We will create a new file or new class. First right click on it, the Kotlin file, Kotlin package, then new, then Kotlin class or file. Now here you will write the name of the class. Let's take employee as the same, or a student. Now press enter, and then Kotlin will create a class for you. So this is a class, as you can see, the class student. So this is a basic class student. Now student, as you know, students have some properties and some methods or have some functions. So basically how we can define a student. So student has a age, so you can have var age, which will be integer, right? So like that we can define many age, number, age, roll number, or name, ID, some IDs or roll number, whatever it may be. So as you can see here, so you don't want, this is a blueprint, you don't want to give the value to a blueprint, right? You don't want to give the value. So if you give the student value, if age equals to, I gave 20, okay, now 20, this is okay. But if you give this student an age, it will not be a blueprint, right? Blueprint only has some blueprint. It is only a blueprint. You don't have value in the blueprint, right? It is only a design. Now if you give it a value, then how it can be designed? It will be a perfect student. So for that we use constructors. So what is a constructor and how do we write it? For the class, you give a curly bracket. In that you write whatever the parameters, or the, as you have as we know functions, we use parameters in the brackets. Like that only in class we use these parameters to give the value, or give the variables, get the variables or the properties, anything. So this is a class to have some properties. So here you can have age, number, whatever you want here. So we can have like var age, comma, and you can have comma, and you can have as many as whatever you want. Let's have some things like a name. Just have two. We will have two things. Now, as you can see, this is all. So we have a student with an age and a name. Now this is called a constructor. So what is a constructor? It is also a function. So constructor is also a function which is executed at the time of creating any object. So whenever you create an object, or you create the object of the class, you will initialize the constructor. In Kotlin, the constructor is written like this, the primary constructor. Now we can have some functions in it. So if you want some functions, you can have fun, whatever, take class. You can have function body, do whatever you want here, anything. You can have as many as functions you want. So this is one of the function, and let's print it here, print something. So if I write here print ln taking class. So this is all. So we have a property, we have some properties, we have some methods, everything we have in a class. Now there is another thing called init block. This is a block which will be executed whenever you create a class at the first. So first, what will be executed? The primary constructor will be executed. After that, you don't have to do anything, but the init block will be automatically executed. So for this to see, we'll just write a print statement, println, and we will write what student created. Okay, so a student is created, and then we will use this class as the taking class. Now how do we create an object and all? Let's see. So there is another file as we created. Okay, you can create a file in Kotlin normally. Then here is the main method. Okay, as you can see. Now in the main method, we will have an object. Okay, where object, or let's name the object as student1. Okay, then equals to the class name, as you saw in the PPT. Class name. What is the class name? Student. Then in the brackets, you need to write the parameters give here. So we gave age as a parameter and name as a parameter. So we will just use age, or whatever it is, 20. Okay, so see, IntelliJ IDE is automatically giving age as 20 because it knows that this is the class and age is the variable. Then you will have a name. Okay, so any name, or anything, John. Okay, whatever. So there we gave a name and age. Now what we will do, you can we'll just run the program and see what's the output. So let's run this. So if I run this main function, then as you can see here, a student created is telling us, that student is created because we use the init block to write the student created. So as you can understand that whenever the student is created, or whenever we create a student, it will run the init block first. After this constructor, it will write the init block, and then the student is created. Now we can also use these variables also here, as like the student created with age and name $name. If I use this one and then run the program, let's run the program and see the output. So as you can see here, student created with age 20 and name John. It is writing us like this. Now you can use the student functions also like this. So if you write, I write student1, the object name, dot, if I write dot, you can see here the age, name and take class. As you saw in the PPT, the properties and the functions, we can access both methods using the object. And how do we do that? Student dot the name, age, we can get it, or we can change the age, we can change the name, whatever you want, you can do it. We can just do student1 dot take class, and if we run now, then first the init block will print as the student age, a student created with age 20 and name John, then the student with the take class function. And what is the take class function doing here? Taking class. It will just print taking class. So as you can see here, taking class is also printed with the student. So I wrote here print, not ln, so it is not going into the new line. So this is the difference between print and print ln too. Print ln means new line, ln means new line, opposite, okay, but nl or ln, nl new line, okay. So this is the concept of class and objects. So this was all about this video. You understood, we learned about what are classes, the functions inside it, the constructor. We will know the constructor deeply in the upcoming videos, but this is the basic. Then the init block and then the objects. So this was all about this video. Thank you for watching this video. We'll meet in the next one.